Some drink pumpkin spice, others dress up and get spooky, but once again I find myself as we enter this fall warning about the harvest or sacrifice season once again. In 2021, around this time, we started warning about the coming bear market beginning in December of 2021. Go back and check the charts. We actually called the day December 4th, 2021, 40% liquidation event started, and it was cascading liquidations, and we entered the current bear market that we are now in. Last year, what were we warning about? We were warning about lunar eclipse, November 8th. We didn't know it was going to be Sam Bankman-Fried as the chosen sacrifice, but that's who was served up. And this year, 2023, we are warning once again about the coming sacrifice to the cryptocurrency space. Now, if you appreciate a real update, not just hype boy, moon boy, and we might throw the moon phase, indicator on our charts, but we're not into the O phase clickbait. It's going to go up forever, and we only talk about bullish momentum and hype. We are incredibly bullish on this space, incredibly bullish on XRP and other suppressed assets, 100%. But with that being said, we don't play games. We're not here to play around. We are warning the community once again about what we are seeing as far as a setup, as far as a coming sacrifice. And I'm going to show you guys why it's not just technical analysis. It's not just fundamental analysis on so many of these projects are just, no utility, no problem solved. But we also have a problem with the law. And we got further proof, further evidence of why Gary Gensler is going to be able to go so far with his Operation Choke Point. And maybe he'll hand off the keys, hand off the realm, the helm to somebody else to run the SEC, and he'll leave for another position. Who knows who's going to be in charge here? But we've been warning about the SEC being able to come after the entire space, 90% plus. Most folks that did an ICO are going to come under the purview of the SEC for the investment contract that they created when they initially raised funds. Does it mean that the underlying token is a security? Absolutely not. But once again, what is good for XRP and Ripple is only good for XRP and Ripple under the facts and the circumstances pertaining to this case. Yesterday, historical ruling from Judge Torres denying interlocutory appeal from the SEC, reaffirming the positions that she took. We look a little bit further into the opinions and what she wrote in her order ruling, and the cases could never be more clear. They are coming after the rest of the space. They have everything that they need, and the space, the mainstream crypto space, as I call it, is just like mainstream media. They don't want to get into this, the cold, hard truth, right? They don't want to swallow this pill. It's a tough one to swallow when you look at the Ethereum foundation that was laid and the token factory that was created on top of that, and the security offerings that were conducted following. And the reason why, yes, why did they let this get so far and so big? Because Gary now has hundreds of millions and billions of dollars worth of checks to come collect, fines to come serve. And good guy Gary Gensler can't wait to tell us how he's protecting investors while he's doing it. That's the whole situation right now, folks. So once again, we warned about upcoming sacrifice. We warned about what was taking place in 2021. Called it dang near perfectly. Once again, last year, we warned of the exact date. We warned of the exact time. We warned of bearish movement. We didn't know it was going to be FTX collapse. We didn't know it was going to be Sam Bankman-Fried. That's who was the chosen sacrifice. This time around, I don't know who is going to be the chosen sacrifice. Now the mainstream media is trying to cover up Sam Bankman-Fried's reputation. But what I'm here to put out is a warning to anyone in the crypto space. Please help me share this message out far and wide to anyone invested in crypto. You need to understand this. The space is essentially built off of one big lie, one big Ponzi scheme. And it's, I'm not here to debate the Bitcoin narrative. What I'm talking about is the Ethereum free pass conspiracy that we've now added facts to our timeline, and we now have whistleblowers vindicating and confirming our timeline and the facts that we've uncovered. It's damning as hell. But when you just look at the law alone and what the SEC is going to be able to do with this space, look out, folks. And unless we get a safe harbor passage, which, Hester Pierce and others have kind of recommended, I would love to see a safe harbor passage. But the unfortunate part is that many of these folks did raise funds from investors, and they most definitely had an investment contract securities offering to define the agreement that took place between them and their investors. And this is why I'm so worried. Let alone, whether the project's legit, has utility, solves a real problem that matters, whether they are getting adoption from anybody that actually matters. That's a whole separate issue from the legal basis that the SEC now has to come for the killing. And that's what I'm warning for here. Once again, this is going to be October 5th, 2023, and we are sounding the alarm once again. Let's get right on into the update, folks. Digital asset investor. He's calling out CNBC as they report on the Ethereum futures ETF that has just now hit the market as the SEC molds the next steps on a Bitcoin fund or a Bitcoin spot ETF. Digital asset investor calls him out and he says, "Hey, CNBC, when are you going to stop covering these scams with no legal clarity and start covering the only digital asset with legal clarity, XRP? By the way, your buddy Gary lost again yesterday. When are you having your paid contributor, Jay Clayton, on, who put this disaster in motion, to explain himself?" Just fantastic questions, and you already know that DAI remains over the target always and continues to apply pressure along with the rest of us. God bless them. Ether futures ETFs hit the market as SEC molds next step on the Bitcoin fund and a potential spot Bitcoin ETF. They have many across their desk and under consideration. We will see what happens as Ether is already the second most popular cryptocurrency behind Bitcoin, but the arrival of the ETFs may make it easier for certain types of investors to gain exposure to that part of the crypto market. Once again, you get Wall Street, you get everyone now can get exposure even without having to hold the underlying asset. They don't have to understand crypto. And as we've been showing you guys, with almost half the country has no idea what their 401k is even in. They won't even know that they're invested in this stuff now. This is what the ETFs do. And you can go look at the gold ETFs. You can go look at all the underlying assets, especially after a spot. They bragged about how the Bitcoin futures back in 2018, I think 2017, 2018, under Trump's administration, how they were able to kill the Bitcoin bull run with the futures ETF that was launched. And they bragged about how approving that allowed them to go short. And so watch out. Just because we have good stuff, good narratives, as we know so well in the XRP community, doesn't mean that good narratives are going to equal good price action. Okay? Let's watch out. Now, how is this Ethereum program working out? Vet, calling it out here, one of the developers from the XRPL, huge shout out to Vet. He explains the technical side of this thing so well for doofus morons like myself. And he asked the question, what can go wrong when just 12.6 times the total value secured to value staked is the current situation for Ethereum? Happy we have consensus model instead of proof of stake on the XRP ledger. And I would call it proof of you know what, because it's an absolute joke. And they call it decentralized. It couldn't be further from the truth. And when you look at the backing, you have 33 billion of Ethereum staked versus 417 billion of Ether on Ethereum, ERC20 tokens on Ethereum, and NFTs on Ethereum. That equals your total economy of 417 billion. What do we have staked backing this? 33 billion. It's a mere 8%. I did the maths. It's about 8% compared to the 417 billion, or 12.6 times is the total economy versus the collateral staked. What could go wrong? And XRP validators ask the questions. This is a bit far-fetched though. It has some other securities. They can't manipulate transactions that ain't been posted for one. The stake is intended to secure the transactions, or so they say, or so they sold us with the Ethereum 2.0 flop. And Vet responds, because many asked some context, we're happy to do so. When crap hits the fan, protocol design is tested. And he shares an example here. Solana-based protocol Solend has voted to temporarily control the largest whales accounts to mitigate liquidation risks. So you have Solana, and once again, Solana shuts down about every week or so, but the ability in a proof of stake system for these guys to vote how this thing goes and the ability to temporarily control the largest whale's account to mitigate liquidation risk. What's going on here? And so I just have valid questions as far as how's the program working out. As far as an investment thesis, I'm out. I'm good. I, am not here to stand on some moral high ground, but the Ethereum free pass was part of holding back cryptocurrency adoption in the United States. And I argue part of holding back humanity from being able to, utilize DLT technology to move humanity forward. I take it that far. Maybe that's a stretch, but somewhere in between is the truth. And it is corrupt. And so I'm not going to participate in that program. And the investment opportunity doesn't look appealing to me. I see a little opportunity there. And the best case for Ethereum is that they're going to continue to be blessed by the SEC. They're going to cover their tracks. And why I think they actually love what Ethereum did, not only were they invested in it, we understand Wall Street had big backing behind Consensus, Ethereum, and all that. They made money on that. But where the SEC loves this is they're going to be able to go after that $417 billion worth of value. How much of that was ICOs? How much of that is NFTs? How many securities offerings were conducted to achieve that 417 billion of total economy? That's the question that we have to ask. And when we combine that question with the ruling that we now have from Judge Torres, the law of the land and the interpretation of that ruling, we now know why the rest of the space is in so much trouble, folks. Ashley Prosper says, I just realized that points 1 through 5 would be very bad for Ethereum folks if the SEC ever decided to go after the ICO, which that's the big question. And I'm going to give Ethereum the benefit of the doubt. I think that they're not going to. I think they're going to get lucky. And maybe they get a little slap on the wrist fine. They'll settle up for like $6 million, something stupid, ETHgate. Perhaps there's more to this than meets the eye. And there is. And I got the quick summary right here for you guys. Here are the 5 reasons why Judge Torres is ruling and confirming why the programmatic sales are not investment contract securities offerings. These are the programmatic sales by Ripple. They were blind bid ask transactions. They didn't even know who they were selling to. The buyer didn't know where they were coming from. It was a blind bid ask offer or transaction. Second point, less than 1% of the overall volume. Now, in an ICO, are we talking about 1% of the overall volume, or are we talking about the only volume transactions that are taking place? Because in some instances, these tokens weren't even created yet, or they had just gotten created and they're just now getting divvied out. That's all that's happening on the network versus these programmatic sales by Ripple only equated to about 1% or less of the overall volume of XRP. This thing's already in motion, right? This thing's well underway and already in motion. Is that the same facts and circumstances around many of these ICOs and ERC20 tokens or Ethereum itself? Absolutely not. No promises or offers were had with the programmatic sales here. Unlike all the other projects, I mean, you can go pull up the clips of Vitalik pitching Ethereum, pitching the ICO. You can go pull up all these other projects, the promises and offers that they were making for early investors. You bet your butt. Are you kidding me? That's what the whole space is built off of, was promises and offers that were lies. That's the whole crypto space in a nutshell. 99% of it anyways. They were unaware of Ripple's existence. In some cases, the buyers of XRP didn't even know that it was coming from Ripple when these programmatic sales were conducted. These were programmatic sales through exchanges, right? Where on the other side, these buyers had no idea of Ripple's existence, let alone these ICO offerings where you're going directly to the one party, the one group of bros that is building out this project. In some of these cases, you got a few bros in a basement that are launching a token. In fact, in 90% of crypto, that's what it is. There was no lockups, resale restrict. This is the investment contract part. Why Judge Torres ruled that the institutional sales were an investment contract securities offering is because I believe that some of them included the following: lockups, resale restrictions, indemnification, which is compensation for harm or loss, or statements of purpose. What are you going to do with the tokens? So with so many of these ICOs, consider how many of them had lockup periods. I think there was some for Ethereum too, right? Lockup periods, resale restrictions, you bet, compensation for harm or loss, or statements of purpose. What are you going to do with these tokens? Look at all these projects where, oh, we're going to give 5 million tokens to this project because they're going to do this. Does it mean that the underlying token, cryptocurrency, is a security? No. But it means that that sale, that transaction, that offer, right, that was the investment contract. And so this is why the rest of the space is in so much trouble. And this ruling only adds to what the SEC already has to work with. A lot of these projects are fraud, scams, of course. But the securities laws on the books go back decades. This is why folks have to watch out here. The SEC has decades of precedent in court rulings to back them. And now when it comes to digital tokens and offers, and apply this to ICOs, apply what Judge Torres just put in this denial of the SEC's appeal, you apply this to the ICOs that were conducted, look out. Look out. And what is that going to do to these projects and these companies that don't have $200 million worth of funds to fight the SEC like Ripple did, right? Brad and the team's getting ready to cut the big boy check, 100 million, 200 million, 333 million, 589 million. I'm sure we'll have to decode how much the settlement check is worth. They're getting ready to cut the big boy check. Not a problem. The rest of these projects going to tuck their tail between their legs, go run off to some foreign country, right, and try to hide. They're going to go run to the hills, right? And then the last thing, no max supply and the security token farm. You have Gary Gensler continuing to reiterate the point about security tokens, right? He's calling so many of these tokens security tokens. When you look at the process of staking, when you look at the process of consensus, how a network is validated, you begin to approach the conversation of an investment seeking profit based off the efforts of others in the way many of these networks are coming to a consensus. Sure. The way that they are being validated. Sure. And I'm not here to debate that to the end of the world, but what I'm here to say is that it's clear as day. These ICOs, and look at all the NFTs that were created, all the metaverse projects, they've lost track of how many tokens there are now. And you have no max supply on Ethereum. And so that's why for me, it's not an investment opportunity, okay? But then when I also look at the legal standing, it's not good. All Ethereum has for it is that they're in on it. They're in on the whole conspiracy. And so they'll probably continue to get a free pass or a slap on the wrist fine, and the whole gang gets to proceed doing business as they were. And after 90% of this space gets killed, those that survive are going to eat up trillions upon tens of trillions coming into the space. So I would like to end on that happy note, is that while we look at the crypto sacrifice that is coming, and we're already in the middle of it, if you can't tell, the crypto sacrifice gets completed here, we get true regulations, and then it will only, or I would say mostly be, at least folks will know how to follow the rules of the road, and you're going to have a much more legitimatized space here. And you're going to have an understanding of what we're investing, how we can invest in this, how we can utilize these assets without violating the securities laws. To me, it's very simple. To me, Judge Torres' ruling here, denial of the SEC's appeal, just adds further to what we said about XRP, the facts and circumstances around Ripple's sales, and why those sales do not constitute an investment contract. She just verified that in the 5 reasons that I just gave you. And now when the SEC and good guy Gary Gensler gets to take that and pull up 90% of the space that did ICOs, remember Ripple never did an ICO. I don't want to know. I'm happy that I don't get to find out, i.e. I'm not invested in any of these Ethereum ERC20 tokens. I'm not invested in Ethereum. So I don't have to worry about how much of this space gets killed, how much of this space gets sacrificed, because I've invested in the only digital asset with full clarity here in the United States as not being a security. So with that clarity, we have the certainty knowing what we've invested in. And that's why we keep on putting out the content that matters most, as far as not just hype, not just clickbait. It's not about why I want views. Why I want you to spread this message far and wide is so that we can save fellow community members within the space here. So that we can save the new people coming in who are only getting pitched a lie, mostly getting pitched fraud, mostly getting pitched the Ethereum free pass token factory Ponzi scheme. Or the Bitcoin bros, they capture a lot of the newbies. And so we're trying to save new folks into cryptocurrency space. We've been putting out the warning, and I know many of you guys don't play with this crap, but I'm telling you right now, the SEC is about to take this ruling from Judge Torres and say, that's fine. We're going to settle up and get a nice big fat check from Brad and team anyways. And then we're going to take this ruling and we're going to be able to apply it as we absolutely sacrifice the rest of the cryptocurrency space. And I think we're talking about 90% plus. So look out in that regard. We're just sitting here comfy, invested in clarity. And I appreciate all of you guys for stopping by, for smashing that thumbs up, and for sharing this one out far and wide. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all.